Chant the name of the Lord and His glories unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, chanting His name continually, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, and each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who finds in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself. Give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning person in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider me as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desires, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet, let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. The nature of nature. We'll be discussing this today. And as we can see, we have all been influenced. Look around. Life is very beautiful. And this earth is teeming with life. Even a drop of water has some form of life in it. The microbes, of course. The earth, the skies, the atmosphere, the water, everywhere has life. In fact, the earth is designed for life. And in turn, life has redesigned the earth. The colors, the sounds, taste, the odors, amazing. It's so beautiful. And it's staggering to imagine life without this beauty. Nature has thrown out its best colors and best sound. Everything is so grand, and it's done on a grand scale. Even if you study a snowflake or a drop of water, you'll see how delicately it has been crafted. You walk down a forest path, it's a spiritual feeling. You don't need to go to a temple or a church. It's so beautiful, awe-inspiring. At the other side, though everything is so perfectly engineered, life is also very ugly, and we know this. It's filled with diseases, grief, pain, corruption, competition. All these things also fill in life. And when we come down to the human world, look at us, the mess we have done with wars, genocides, holocausts, and everything that creates this ugliness, this evil. There's a time when we used to conceive of a place without these evils, and we called it heaven. And when you conceive of something, you've got to put an agent for that. And they called the poor guy Satan. That guy is responsible for all this, not God. Whether he's responsible or not, we don't know. But this is the nature of nature. And we have been trying to appease God with worship and incantation. Why? Because we need to go in a place, that place, not the other one, called heaven, and escape this ugliness. There it will be only beauty. But we see on the very face of it, it's a contradiction in terms. Because wherever there's life, there will be death. And that's the most wonderful thing. One of the questions the god of death puts to Yudhishthira. He was one of the 5 brothers, the eldest, the leader. And he says, what's the most wonderful thing? Saying people are dying, and yet there are some who are alive, think that they will not die. That's the most wonderful thing. So death stalks life. It is the obverse and reverse of life itself. Nature itself shows its crushing power. It destroys things, remodels, transforms, breaks, dissolves. This is also nature. And we see all life is locked with death. And also it's like the old food chain, a prey and a predator. What is this nature? Can we really figure it out? So we have death, and we have this destruction, and we have this evil, and all the ugliness that life can ever bring. Left to itself, nature will do her work. We go now, and we have begun interfering with nature. In a way, we are now, we've got a great role of being participants with nature. We have been tinkering with nature all through our human history. But yet, we understand that there's something very powerful. We are tinkering with materials that she provides. So one thing we've understood now, that all of nature is interconnected, and in a very, very intricate way. We don't see the connections, but they are there. If it wasn't for the connections, there would be no nature. No object would exist independently. The food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, we're all interconnected. We are connected with all the rivers and the forests and the mountains and the skies everywhere. This idea of isolation springs from ignorance. If we can see that it is one mass of interconnections, we may think we don't have anything to do with the planets. People who, of course, delve in astrology, they say, no, these guys, they influence your life and influence your death and influence your character and influence your work. We're not talking about that. That even the solar system and everything outside it and everything within this galaxy and the universe affects us, and we are interconnected with that. The very material that we've had, which builds our bodies, has come from the stars when they die, when they explode. So here we are. We think they are so distant, so far away. We are not involved with all these things, whatever they are doing, but yes, it does. So nature is creative. Imagine she has designed a beautiful butterfly's wing. So fragile and so beautiful. And she has also brought in earthquakes and volcanoes and the tsunamis and everything around. So from the huge blue whale to a giant redwood to a bacteria, you see her crafting life. We see it not only here, it's all over, everywhere. So even that bug, we are kind of repelled with that. And we have repellents, bug repellents. But you study that bug and see how beautiful it is. See how it tries to struggle to stay alive. Life also, like, okay, we take a kind of the other day, I was doing some worship and there were some ants. At least I detected 2 in the flowers. And then I was wondering, oh my God, they're going to crawl out and I don't know what's going to happen. And I forgot the worship and watching them. They were scrambling all over the place. They are going to die. Because you say, okay, I never killed them, not physically. But all life has to live in a community. You can't catch a deer and after some time you become so compassionate you want to release it in the forest. You just release it. You cannot just release it. It has to go amongst its kind. Otherwise it's going to die. So we are very compassionate, but we only see half side of the story. All life is collective. And that is important for life. While we interact with others, life flourishes. And like I said, nature is so creative. You try to crush a species, it's going to rebound in some other place in a different way. The environment and the species are so interlinked. They're both connected. It's only we have started building artificial, you can say, environments for us. And that's what makes us artificial. Is when we go down to the forest or in nature, you see how alive you feel. That's what you really are. Now, you've been talking about nature, how beautiful, how ugly, how this, how complex. So, but then we always think nature is something outside. We are seeing here. But I just mentioned all the food and water and the air and everything that we ingest is nature. Our bodies also part of nature, are really nature. You can see how complex this physical system is. And if this is complex, you can see how every other living organism, cells. Some time ago, I was seeing you can see animation. It's an animated kind of film on how proteins fold in a cell. Mind-boggling. How can this happen? And who's the author of this? And we think, oh, nature is self-sustaining, self-directed, and it's an organic process. It runs mechanically. But there must be something more to nature who sees all these sequences. How the cell splits and how the DNA splits and how everything runs. If this is at the smallest scale, even at a larger scale, universes are being born and dying. Imagine the immensity of this. So, in Indian philosophy, say, yeah, the body, we can understand the body is part of nature. But they say, no, you got something more there. Your mind even is a part of this nature. Mind? It's my mind. It belongs to nature. Then what about my memories, and what about my traumas, and what about my desires, and what about my whole internal world? It's a part of nature. Now, this creates a big problem. I mean, for materialists, hardcore materialists who think that nature is only what is seen. Nature is also what is unseen. We see this huge river flowing down. We had once gone to the Colorado River and I was saying, wow. Everybody is saying, wow, look at that. But we don't see an unseen river which feeds this river. Water vapor, condensation, and rain or snow, whatever. And so all these are processes. There are some things which are visible. There are some things which are not visible. And both are complementary. And there's an aspect which is also much deeper. As I said, even mind and desires and memories and all these things are part of nature. It has to be, because again, Vedanta says, everything transforms. And they had brought out in the very earliest stages of studying nature, there was a great sage called Kapila, who is the author of the Sankhya philosophy. He is called the father of all philosophies. It's one of the oldest philosophies. So he says that nature is constantly transforming itself. And this transformation has a sequence. And this is what is called evolution. He used a Sanskrit word called Satkaryavad, the actual transformation. Long before Wallace and long before Darwin, these ideas were already there in Indian philosophy. There is evolution. And now, the recent, you can say, finding is saying it's not only evolution, not only works on the earth, but matter also evolves. Yes, of course. Matter has to evolve. Mind also has to evolve. Your thoughts have to evolve. Your words have to evolve. Your deeds have to. Everything is evolution. What we are today is a result of everything that we have done in the past. Otherwise, it just cannot be. Otherwise, it will be something coming out of nothing. It's like this. You pop down from the heavens or wherever, or pop up from hell. And then you come, and then you either go to heaven back or hell. Okay. And that's not life. Oh, it's one short thing. No, it doesn't happen. Nature takes her time, and she takes a very long time. She is in no hurry. So here we are. So there are philosophies that say time itself will spontaneously arise, the concept of time, with the changes happening in nature. Only then you can have the concept of time. Otherwise, you don't have the concept of time. If everything is static, everything is still, everything is non-moving, you won't have any idea of time. It's movement. It's change that brings us idea of time. So here we are. This is nature. My God. Sometimes you wonder what is this? So it is evolution. It's a massive process. And this massive process goes on and on very silently. It's happening right now. And it's very powerful. So you find that these things that are experienced, that are perceived, have a very long history. That's the idea. If this is the case, when he's talking about history, that means there has to have been a previous existence of ourselves, of everything around. So things evolve and grow and become more and more complex. Nothing is, it starts from a simple atom or a cell or whatever. But then as it builds up on that, it becomes more and more and more complex. Nothing is really actually simple. It's only the collection of parts that come and build up these huge systems. Like we are a collection of many systems put together. Yes, we feel like we are just one. No, we are a collection of many complex systems, all kind of working together. This is nature. So everything has a long story. Then you say, where did this universe come from? Oh, from a nebulous state. And everything then condensed and everything then formed things and then everything blasted and again. So we see that in the Vedanta, it is like the beginning and the end will always appear similar. So the whole universe has come from the nebulous state. It will go back to the nebulous state. The whole tree has come from a seed. It will go back to a seed. The whole human being has come from a simple cell and it will go back to it. So these cycles are repeated everywhere. Study a grain of sand and you'll understand it is nothing but part of a massive cycle. A raindrop, a snowflake, or anything, it arises, stays for a while, becomes complex, adds material, and then slowly diminishes, goes back to its original state. That's the reason why in Vedanta, they have something called a continuous creation. There is no end times. It's nice to hear, oh, there will come a time when the creation will end. Then that's not creation. Creation will continue on, but it will repeat itself from the subtle, it will become manifest or gross and then goes back. Everything. You study nature, you study the smallest to the largest, and you will find it is cyclic. It repeats itself over and over and over and again. Everything in nature is cyclic. Everything. So this is another aspect of nature. Okay. There's another aspect. So when you see, okay, we start from something which is tiny, which is nebulous, which cannot even be seen, it's not visible, and then grows and grows and grows. It's called evolution. Vedanta says there's another aspect which people are not really cognizant of. It's called involution. What evolved? That which was involved. Everything starts like that. There's an evolution and an involution. The seed is the tree involved, and the tree is a seed evolved. Everywhere these cycles are going on, from the smallest to the greatest. Nature is cyclic. And that's why if you want to study nature, this is how you got to study it. Hold one thing and see how it progresses, and then you'll understand that there is no such thing as a beginning and an end. Imagine a circle. You'll say, is this the beginning? No. There is no such thing as beginning. It's continued. So it manifests and again goes back to its unmanifested form or its invisible form and returns and over and again. This is nature. So there is no such thing as a time when everything will quiet down. It will quiet down, but it will remain in its seed form. And then it will spring out again. It has to. So in one of the earliest sections of the Vedas, this question came up because this world has been acting on us and we have been reacting on the world over and over again. It's nothing but an action and reaction. We react through our thoughts and words and our deeds, and nature also sometimes slaps us and throws us down, and we get up and again she pushes us. We are like kind of playthings in the hands of nature, but we are trying to assert ourselves. So in the earlier sections, so it said that whence is this? When there was neither aught nor naught, and darkness was hidden in darkness. Who projected this universe? How? Who knows the secret? So it comes from one of the earliest sections, as I said, of the Rig Veda. And Rig Veda is one of the earliest books compiled by the human race. Na sadasit no sadasit tadanim na sidrajo no vyomna paroyata kim avera kuta tasya sharman naba kimasid gahanam gabhiram. This has been repeated, I think, maybe 5, 6 or 7,000 years old. It's been. So this was when darkness was hidden in darkness, in its unmanifested form. And how did this spring out? So this is what the sage is asking. This is nature. And then later in the Upanishads we come, yes, this universe that you see came out of a previous universe. What? Yeah. It's the same thing repeating itself. And that's why in the Upanishads say, Suryo chandramaso dhata yata purvam akalpayat divim cha prithivim cha antariksha. So everything has been created here according to a previous template. That's a better. So the plan is fixed. Nature is running down her course and she is unstoppable. So this gives evolution, involution, the subtle and the very subtle and the unmanifest, and then it progresses evolution. So, now if this is true, if nature is cyclic, if you find one pattern, and this is another thing, nature works on patterns. She throws up these beautiful patterns. You follow the patterns, you can understand nature. Everything in nature falls in a pattern. Whether now people are trying to find whether it's a Fibonacci, you can say sequence or something, and the golden rule, all these kind of things, a golden ratio, and they're trying to figure out how beautiful these patterns are repeated all across nature. So yes, there are patterns, and it's even more complex than that. Simple things we can understand. And then we have even, the mind also functions and understands things according to a pattern. You throw something which is not figured out in a kind of a pattern, and you will have difficulty in understanding it. It must have something associated with it, always. There is always a sequence, there is always a pattern. So this is what nature is, a pattern. If this is true, if we can understand nature, how? Well, you can take a grain of sand or a seed or a plant or anything, study it, and you will understand the universe. Study an atom perfectly, and you will understand the universe. Study life in the smallest microscopic form, you will understand all life. So this is another secret of nature. This is how you understand. Like we didn't go to the sun to find that there's helium there. We understood it here because there's helium here. So we understood the spectrum, and so it's all over. Everything is, as I said, associated. So if you study things here, you can study the universe. That's why in the old days, in the Upanishads, like if you know one lump of clay, you know all the clay in the universe. Yata somya ekena mritpindena sarvam mrinmaya vijnanam syat. So you know one thing, one aspect of nature, you'll know nature in its entirety. So if you know your body perfectly, you will know all bodies. And Vedanta says, if you can understand your mind, you can understand all minds. There is no such thing as my mind, your mind. From the individual standpoint, we do say that, but there is something called mind. So this is and this is what is called yoga. You go down deep within you, try to unravel, unpack yourself, and you can understand everything in nature. I think this is kind of, now you can see the whole thing. As I mentioned in the beginning, there must be something that's guiding things. We are not trying to bring in an agent and all, okay, just, there must be something that impels things according to a pattern, according to a sequence, and everything is synced with every other thing. So when you look around, what do we see? Life is intelligent. Yes, that's what you find. Somehow life clings on to even the barest, you can say, essentials or substance, and it tries to evolve and grow. It tries to escape death, it tries to escape the ugliness and evil. Says something that is fundamental in nature. That is called intelligence. Nature is intelligent. Nature, we said nature is dull and stupid and just can be exploited the way we want it. And now nature is kicking back. Oh, he's trying to exploit me. I'll show you what it is. Nature is very intelligent. And you see this intelligence displayed everywhere, from the smallest, like I said, I gave you an example of how proteins are being folded and unfolded. My God. It's intelligent. Life is intelligent everywhere. So if we find, a counter argument, no, intelligence comes only at the later stages of evolution. In the beginning, nothing. It's a mechanism. No. If it was in the end, it has to be in the beginning. As we have said, everything kind of is cyclic. If it is displayed here, it has to be displayed there also. And we see this intelligence all through. So this is the nature of nature, the intelligence. Now comes Vedanta, saying, we know all these things. So it was intelligence that got involved, and it is intelligence that is evolving. If you switch the word nature to intelligence, then you understand it is intelligence that is being displayed all through. The word nature it's translated, but the Sanskrit word is prakriti. The word comes from the root kri, means to work, to perform. So the suffix, the prefix here, is to work excellently. So nature is actually working, and she is perfect. And that perfection means intelligence. So prakriti, so it is constantly, she is intelligent, she is working, she is bringing out all these things, all these forms. It's not possible for this kind of life, complex life, to evolve through dull, insentient nature. It's not just possible. You can say there are millions and billions of species, and still new ones are being discovered. And here we are again undergoing something like the mass extinction species. But here new species are being created. So we have this intelligence. So nature is intelligent. And now comes this great idea that Vedanta puts. What is intelligence? Oh, we are intelligent. Sorry. Nature is intelligent. That's why you think that it's being displayed here as mind, as memory, and desires, and wants, and needs, and this and that. All this is intelligent, display of intelligence. Nature has got another dimension. And that is, say, I'll quote the Bhagavad Gita. So it says, this the nature, which is called Maya, is divine. It is made up of all these components, and it's very difficult to overcome nature. But if you take refuge in me, you will overcome this. So the sloka is Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. This my Maya, nature is this Maya, is divine. Now we can understand, this is actually it. Divinity. So this divinity is, as the Bhagavad Gita says, constituted by the three gunas. They are the constituents of nature. They act and react in each other, and they bring out this panorama of beauty and everything else. So he's saying it's difficult to cross, to cross over and get into a higher aspect of nature. So, one of Sri Ramakrishna's gurus was Totapuri. Totapuri, he was a Vedantin. He was a knower of Brahman. And he had it was a rule for monks not to stay in a place for more than 3 days. And look at us. We've broken all the rules. But those were the itinerant monks, they never lived under a roof. They took a shade of a tree or something like that. And now, So he came to Dakshineshwar, and then he saw Sri Ramakrishna. He initiated him into the mysteries of the knowledge of Brahman. And then when his work was over, he put Sri Ramakrishna into the highest stage of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And now he wanted to depart. His work is over now. We're going to see some aspirant. And every time he went to tell Sri Ramakrishna, I'm leaving now, somehow or something used to obstruct him. And Sri Ramakrishna would bring up another topic, and spiritual topic, and they should discuss it and forget it. And he should return and say, tomorrow I'm going to go back. So he lived under that Panchavati, those trees. He built a fire. That's a sacred fire that day. And they used to meditate the whole night. And it's a long story, but then, so that way 11 months passed. And towards the end, he was beginning to suffer from colic pain, excruciating. So he said, okay, I can just take my mind out and plunge into the samadhi, because I can do that. So he tried to, but every time he was trying to do it, his mind used to recoil from that stage and come back to his body and feel the pain. He got disgusted. Oh, anyway, it's just a body. So he began to wade in the river, saying, I can give up this body. People can do that. I mean, people who have realized the truth only can do that, not others. So I'll just give up this body. And they used to immerse it in water, Ganges. Now we've fallen into Ganges. So he began wading. It was night. He began wading. I said, what happened? The Ganges is deep. But that night, there was only just ankle-deep water. And he kept on walking. He came mid-river, still ankle-deep water. And he almost came to the other shore. Oh my God. And the Ganges is wide at that place. Saying there's not enough water also to drown me. And then he says, suddenly, the author says, Swami Sharadananda, as if somebody from within pulled a veil out of his mind. And then he saw nature in all its grandeur. And he said, Kya Maya hai, Daivi Maya. He's saying this is a divine Maya. He saw the Divine Mother as Maya. And he said, Mother is in land, Mother is in water, Mother is in the sky, Mother in the... Everything has become the Mother. And he saw the Divine Mother as nature full of light. Everything was shining. And there's luminosity in it. And then he understood, because he had dismissed this aspect of nature as unnecessary for my spiritual life or spiritual practices. He's saying it's unreal. Just dismissed it off. And nature let him, okay, let him be dismissive. Okay. But then she comes back and saying, now you see what I am. So he saw whole nature as luminous. And this is not a one-off, you can say, experience. All mystics have seen this. Everything is luminous. Everything is, you can say, intelligence, or everything is consciousness. And then he returns. The pain also returns, but his mind was full of bliss. And as he was returning, he was chanting Mother's name. And then he comes back, he lights his fire, his face is now full of peace and without pain. He lights the fire, sits down to meditate. In the morning, Sri Ramakrishna comes to ask, how are you? Because he was, his guru has colic pain and all. So he described everything, his experience of nature. And then he says, now you tell your mother to release me and I would like to go. She has shown me what she really is. So this is the nature of nature. That tremendous power that's called intelligence or consciousness is what is being displayed here. And we have not been able to penetrate even the one aspect of, we don't even know our bodies. We don't even know our minds. We don't even know our thoughts and feelings. Something shakes our nerves and I'm feeling good. And after some time, I'm feeling bad. We've not even... So it reminds me of another Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. So in the rainy season, because of the rain, of course, grass used to grow all over those huge lawns. And it was cumbersome to kind of mow them. In those days, they never had all these lawn mowers. You know, they had that old sickle and they used to cut it. Well, so they permitted grass cutters to come in. They used to use that as fodder for their cows. Okay. So there was an old man who had come, and the whole day he spent cutting the grass. By evening, he had bundled everything and it had become a big bundle. You know, he was old and he was weak also. And he was trying to lift that bundle of freshly cut grass on his shoulders to take it away, carry it away. And he couldn't do that. He tried slipping out and he's struggling to pick. He was just greedy, you know. He knew this load of grass would not be carried by him. But his greed never stopped him. So it blew away his intelligence. And he's struggling to lift that big bundle of grass, bale of grass. Couldn't do that. Sri Ramakrishna, he looked at him. He goes into samadhi. But before going into samadhi, he says, see the Atman, the infinite Atman full of infinite knowledge is there within. And there's so much foolishness and stupidity outside. So that's what it is. Most of us are in that state. There is a tremendous knowledge within nature, within everywhere. And yet, so silly we become, the small things of life and so get into the heart of nature. There you will find Mother Nature herself revealing everything to you. So how do you approach it? Through your desire to know. That itself is a form of worship. That itself is a form of prayer. And she has a grand plan. She will one day give you this knowledge. Every one of us. But there are some people who are in a hurry to get it quickly. Better get it quickly. Or you have to wait for a long time, because she takes her time about things. Because Vedanta, there's another part of the doctrine. Everyone will attain liberation. Everything in nature. It's not only human beings are exclusive. And amongst human beings, the good human beings, they'll only get it. No. Everything and everyone. The whole of nature is rushing towards that goal. May we, in this life, understand nature, and may she reveal her secrets to us. Om, peace, peace, peace. For questions, we'll take these. So, thank you, saying, wondering if there's a difference between intelligence and consciousness. For example, a computer agent might be intelligent, but that is same as consciousness. But is that same as consciousness? No. Consciousness is different from intelligence. Because in Vedanta, buddhi, intelligence, is the closest aspect to consciousness. So intelligence is a result of its own innate faculty of dividing and understanding things, plus consciousness. Consciousness is reflected in intelligence. So that is the difference. So yeah, computer systems are intelligent. They work on, you can say, again, patterns and data and all these things. And they can use it, they can work independently. So it is human intelligence that has put it there, and then slowly they work according to these kind of algorithms and whatever. But consciousness is different. So yeah, we do have intelligent machines now, and they will be, it's inevitable. Oh, it's artificial. Nothing is artificial in this universe. Everything is natural only. That thing is also natural only. We think like we are original and that is artificial. In the future, they might say we are the original and you are the artificial. Who knows? But it's matter. So it's like that. But for our purposes, intelligence is different from consciousness. Because intelligence gets modified. Suppose I learn a mathematical formula, I can kind of expand it and I can apply it. And then after some years, I get a higher aspect of that same mathematical formula. And then that has modified my intelligence now. So my intelligence is constantly being modified. When I look at a picture, look at a flower, look at anything, my mind gets modified. And then my intelligence also gets modified. So in Vedanta, it is vibhakta, that is, it understands things by isolating things, intelligence. So it separates things and then again, it brings in the connection. To understand anything, intelligence or the intellect separates it. If you understand the whole of nature, find out its smallest component, the atom. And then you go down deeper and find, oh, there's no such thing as atom. What? There's something called a quarks and something even deeper and deeper. What's that? So it tries to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. So intelligence gets modified. Knowledge modifies it. And consciousness is unmodified. Because if consciousness would get modified, then it would also become something which is perishable. Perishable in the sense of modified. Okay. So that was the only intelligent question. Okay. Yeah.
Good question. So the world is pretty terrifying. So I enjoy watching the hummingbird outside my window, and oh, it's so cute. But it's nervous, always looking for the hawk that's going to come down and eat it, or the little bug, a big scary spider that we can step on, is terrifying. And of course, we are horrible. Israel, Hamas, all of that stuff. But my understanding is at some point, Vivekananda went into such a state that he was like, oh, I get it. And it all makes sense and it's all good. Did he ever say why? Or did he just say, no, it's all good?
Well, the question is, paraphrase it, it's terrible. I mean, see the thing that in the hummingbird and is always afraid of the hawk, or it has eyes for the bug and there's a spider coming for the bug, etc. And human, you can see societies clashing against each other. So, is everything good? No, did Vivekananda say that is everything good? No, he never said everything is good. These good and bad, all these terms, they are transcended. Once you understand, you go to the heart of nature, these things are something that humans have. It's not because of religion. Religion says, you give you a commandment, this is good and this is bad. Do this and don't do that. It's innate in us. It's a part of our own intelligence and our own evolutionary safeguards, their control mechanisms. There is something called a disgust mechanism, which is embedded in human minds from the very beginning. Bad food, anything bad, rotten, we used to avoid it because it would kill us or make us sick. So we already had this as we are evolving for thousands and millions of years.